Cinda Seamon, fire and life safety educator for Hilton Head Fire and Rescue, is joining us. Everybody's in the pool, everybody's in the ocean now with the recent hotter weather and the influx of tourists for the summer. Maybe an important time to discuss something we'd rather not have to, and that's drowning. Cinda, tell us a little bit about the dangers of it, obviously, and how we may not see drowning coming.
That's a good point. We may not see it coming. First of all, when we see people thrashing around the water and screaming, yelling, we automatically think they're drowning, when in fact they are in distress, but it doesn't mean they're drowning because drowning looks very different.
What does it look like?
Well, it's very quiet, actually.
Okay.
Somebody's head might be slightly above water. When someone's drowning, the time that they're above the water is very short. They only have time to inhale and exhale, not time to scream. So we may not hear any sound at all. They might be putting their arms out to create leverage as if they're pushing themselves above the water. You won't normally see kicking. So it's very quiet and we don't often think that they're drowning.
Okay, if we're watching from the side of the pool or on the beach or whatever, what should we be looking for?
Someone whose head is just barely above the water, their eyes may be closed, their hair may be over their face, covering their face, their head may be sort of looking up with their eyes kind of glazed. They also may give the impression that they're climbing an invisible ladder, trying to get out.
That's interesting to ponder.
It's quiet, it's different.
Yeah. What can parents do to ensure the safety of their children when they're at the pool or the beach?
Well, first of all, we know kids are pretty noisy when they're in the water. They're having fun and yelling and screaming. So when they get quiet, that's the first sign that something could be wrong. Parents really need to pay attention, and the best way to do that is form a water watcher group. You can download the card at safekids.org.
Okay.
Pass the card around from parent to parent. Somebody's responsible for a certain period of time, and all their function is to watch those kids. When they're finished or have to go on to a different task or their time is up, they pass the card on to someone else. That way you always know that someone is watching the kids at all times.
That's a great idea. We had a young teenager from Ohio who was pulled under by a rip current off Fripp Island a couple of weeks ago and drowned. Let's talk a little bit about rip currents. They are kind of a different animal, aren't they?
They are, and they're usually found near fixed objects like piers or reefs. Often when you'll see a no swimming sign, that's a clue. When the rip current starts to pull you out, the key is not to panic, and I know that's probably easier said than done, but just go with that pull and swim parallel to shore. And keep swimming parallel until you swim out of the rip current, and then you'll be able to swim back into shore.
All right, that's a great reminder for certainly. Thanks, Cinda, for all of that help.